Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. Do you want to make your journals truly stand out? Do you want to do something a little bit different? Well, in this tutorial, you will learn how to create extra large expanding journal pages and a few other fun things such as flip outs and hidden folds that add lots of space and creativity to handmade books. We're going to do loaded pockets, writing boards, binding, all sorts of fun stuff. We are going to have fun today. So, without further ado, let's get started. This is part 2 of our book harvesting project. In part 1, which is linked down below, we harvested an old book, gathered its most precious elements, and prepared the cover. Today, we are bringing this project to completion. You don't have to watch part 1. This is a standalone tutorial. But if you want to see how we harvested a book and prepared this cover, then the video is in the description box. Okay. Moving along to creating those extra large expanding journal pages. As you can see, this journal cover is quite large. I don't know how well you can tell how large it is. Perhaps I'll give you measurements, but this is standard A4 sheet of paper folded in half, and you can see how tiny it is compared to the rest of the journal, the cover. So if I was to gather just standard size pages, you know, they're too short and too short. So I want to create extra large pages, and instead of just creating extra large pages, I want these pages to be flipping out like extra large. I want to do something different than what I've already done in the past. That's basically what I want to do today. So the first thing I need to do is create myself a template of how large my pages need to be. And in fact, I don't need to do a lot of work here because I already have the original book pages that I pulled out of this book. So I already have the perfect size, but let's say for some reason you don't, you just have your cover. You want your pages to be slightly smaller than the outside edge of the cover. I hope I'm making sense so far. So basically I want most, if not all, of my pages to be at least this size. But then I also want them to do fun stuff like flipping out, flipping up, maybe flipping down. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. This is the size that I need, at least, okay? And this is A4 size, you can see too small. All right, so you want to create extra large pages, yes. So if you grab, let's say, 2 of these, 2 A4 size sheets, and you hinge them in the middle, or you glue them together, you are creating yourself an extra large sheet that is bigger than your template, which is what you want. And then you can, of course, go ahead and cut your page down. All right, the way that I like to do this, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, is I like to have extra large pages in my stash, and I think these kids' scrapbooks are perfect for that. So basically you get extra large sheets of paper. You can remove the staples. You can tea dye your paper, color it whichever color you want, you know, and then you have these extra large pages that you can use in your journals, and you can fold them this way and that. Okay, so this is my absolute favorite thing to have in my stash. And then of course things like this. So whenever I see these large pads, especially in secondhand shops, I'm gonna grab them because this is absolutely beautiful, pristine white paper, slightly heavier weight than copy paper, which is a bonus. So this is 110 GSM, so it's not, you know, anything major, but still a little bit thicker. And look at this beautiful size. I can do so much with this. So for your extra large pages in your journals, number one, you need either to hinge your small pages together, or number two, use extra large pages and then fold them down, cut them down, whatever. Or if you want extra large pages, then you start playing around with hinging large pages together. Okay, let's just do the thing. I don't want to confuse you right here at the start. So far all you need is the template, which fits within your cover. People always ask for measurements of these things, so here we go, 7 and I don't know, a bit inches in width and 10.5 inches in height. I mean, everyone's got different books and whatnot, but there it is. Those are the measurements of my cover. Okay, so far you have your template and you have your large pages. These are cabbage dyed or whatnot. It has a blue hue. I'm gonna go with that because it kind of goes with the cover. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to hinge these two large pages together. These pages in particular came out of that kid's scrapbook. So this is how I like to hinge my pages together. Please stay away from double-sided tape and just use glue. So here we go. One side is covered in glue, just a little bit. And then this is going to go on top. But I'm going to add glue here as well. It will make sense why. Just trust the process. So I'm adding glue on this one as well. And now I'm going to attach them or hinge them, but I'm not going to hinge them this much. I'm going to hinge them this much. You don't want to have a whole lot of chunk in a tiny little bit of space at your spine. So I'm doing this. So now hopefully you can see why I applied glue here. Because where I'm going to fold, that's going to come next. But just so you know in advance, where I'm going to fold, there's not going to be any glue. All right, so let's just get this hinging done. I'm gluing them down. So by applying glue on both papers, I'm ensuring this edge is glued down, this edge is glued down, and no glue in the middle, just so I have movement within my book. You see that? Sorry if that's annoying. All right, we're hinging. Now just make sure that it's straight. I like to kind of check against the edge of my desk. I'm happy with that. Okay, are we still on the same page? Everything is clear so far, I hope. So we have those two pages hinged together. Now I'm going to fold it in half, but I'm not going to do this because I'm not sure if that's going to give me my actual half here. I'm just going to hold it up to the light. You can see that too, and give myself like approximate middle in between the hinge. This is the hinge, and I'm going to use that as my folding point. All right. Oh, I just love it when things are just chugging along smoothly. Here's what we have. Two extra large pages hinged together, and this is our template. So now I know, checking against my template, that I need to fold my page around here in order for it to fit perfectly within the cover. Very straightforward. I'm going to pop this along the spine here and just give myself a little mark. I often tend to go a little bit more inwards because as we are adding pages and adding pages, the signature keeps extending. So we may end up with pages sticking out of the cover, which, you know what, at the end of the day, no big deal. In fact, could be desirable. But if you want your pages to stay within the cover and not be visible, then perhaps mark your pages a little bit shorter than your template. This is the maximum size. So just very quickly for demonstration purposes, if you've ever done a signature and you cut all of your pages exactly the same and then you find that some pages stick out, the reason is, we've probably worked it out by now, but if you haven't, it's because you're nestling pages inside each other. So you can see the very first page starts here. Oh, let's have a look at this one because you can see better. It starts here and the next one, the very last one is here. Because there's bulk over here, of course, you're nestling pages together. Of course, there's going to be bulk. So even if you cut your pages exactly the same size, this very first page is going to sit very close to the spine, and this very last page is going to be sticking out. And the more pages you have, the more bulk you're going to have here. That's why I always like to make my pages slightly shorter. All right, I have my little mark here, and now I'm going to fold. Perfezione. And of course, turn it around. And I'm going to use this as my kind of guiding line. And fold. Oh, just lovely. And now I can check, does it fit within my template? And it fits perfectly. And even I did mark a little bit shorter, it's still see, this is the thing, like it still somehow ended up slightly larger, or rather exactly the same as the template, exactly the same size. I'm just going to trim this off because it's, kind of ripped. Page number 1 done. We are cruising along beautifully. We have created an extra large page. We've created some fold outs. Lovely. We can sew this, we can create pockets, we can do so much. All right, let's move on to the next page. Now I'm going to use something different. I have these tea dyed very large sheets of paper. As you can see, they are larger than my template. So I'm going to work on this next, and we shall reiterate some things as we go along. So don't be tempted to start trimming the height before the hinge, or the sides, before you've hinged your pages. I know it might seem like, oh, I'm just going to trim it down now and then I'm going to hinge it. No, it's actually better to do your hinging first. So put your papers side by side how you want them hinged. I kind of did it this way because I want the numbers, there's some numbers on this paper and I want them going the right way up. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. Look, we're just going to hinge this together. So we're applying glue here onto the edge. And then where are we going to apply glue here? Are we going to apply it here? No, of course not. We're going to apply it on the other side because we're hinging like this. So I'm just going to move that out of the way and apply that glue. And how are we going to hinge? Are we going to hinge here? No. Okay, I'll stop doing that. We're leaving a bit of a wide thing happening. Make sure it's nice and straight. Just checking it against the edge of my desk. All right, that's looking all right. Checking against the light. I'm going to find the middle around here and fold. Perhaps you might want to wait for the glue to dry before you do this. I don't really care. It's not affecting the work in any way if I do it while the glue is wet. One way of hinging pages is to put them together like this and then apply washi tape in the middle. Personally, I don't really like that method. It doesn't seem like, if you're looking for longevity and your things to not fall apart after a certain number of years, then I perhaps would stay away from the washi tape method, or at least overlap the pages and then maybe like do washi tape on this side and do washi tape on this side. I don't know. All right, going back to this. So grab your template and then mark where you want to fold the page. So I'm gonna go slightly smaller and then make the fold. At this stage, we're just trying to fit the pages within the book. We can come back later on and do all sorts of fun stuff, but for now, this is just what we're gonna do. Fold the other side. Now that you've done all of this business, everything is hinged and folded, now we're going to make this cut. If you cut your pages before you do all of this, you'll probably have to make another cut because things are not going to align. Okay, so this is why I kind of leave the height business till last. All right, I'm just trying to see if I want to cut off the top or if I want to cut off the bottom. I think I'm going to cut off the bottom. All right, we're working on height now. And this is where I'm going to cut. Oh, perfection. So far we have 2 extra large pages. We can do something like this. I could have folded this one a bit more in like this. So then this one can perhaps, we can do all sorts of fun stuff, you know. This one can be like its jacket protector, I don't know. Let's move on to page number 3. For this 3rd element, I want to create even more flippy, outy things. I want my page to kind of fold in and then fold out. I have it in my mind and you will soon see what I mean. But for this, I'm going to use the extra large pages, the largest pages I have in my stash. And starting off, of course, exactly the same. I'm going to hinge. We're doing exactly the same thing. Hinge away. Okay, and before when I was saying make sure it's straight, like if you kind of hinge askew like this, your bottom and top is going to be misaligned, so you have to trim the top and the bottom down. So try and just, if you can, have it as straight as possible. Again, I'm going to use the edge of my desk. All right, that's looking good. Find that middle. If you want precision and you have a scoring board, you can be totally precise and give yourself a little scoring there. Isn't that just sweet? And fold. Loveliness. Oh, look at all of this. So even if I went and folded this page all the way to the spine, my signature, I mean, what am I saying? The page will still be larger than my template. It's going to be sticking out of my book. And this is why I'm using, oh no, it'll be fine. This is why I'm using extra large pages, because now what I can do is make cool stuff, you know, cool, like fold once, fold twice. So template, I'm going to pop it down and I'm going to mark where I need to fold, and I'm going to fold at that mark. I'll tell you what, red nail polish can very easily like leave red marks on white paper, which is why I'm kind of like, if you notice weird hands, that's why. Look, if I do this, see how red nail polish leaves marks? So, oh, totally off the topic of our tutorial today, but I'm trying not to leave red marks on my pristine white paper. Okay, now we need to fold this so that it fits within this page. You can make the fold anywhere you want. You can make it all the way here. You can make it wherever you want. You do what you do you. So I'm going to fold it right here. So you will notice when I fold down, the creases aren't very crisp. It's because I'm folding against the grain of the paper, where in fact it should be with the grain of the paper, but it doesn't matter, because when you burnish down and use your little bone folder thing, then it's fine. Okay, and now we can turn it to the other side and use this as our guideline. I'm going to do a fold, make a little fold, and fold it down. See what I mean about, I'm not sure if you can see how the paper is cracking. It's not like giving me a perfect crispy edge. See that? It's because it's simply being folded against the grain of the paper. You know, we're not gonna get into that, but you just gotta do this. And now you can see this page is sticking out, and we're gonna fold it in to wherever you want. And now this is an extra large page, all right? This is kind of the middle of it here. So it opens like this and it opens like this, okay? And it has to fit within my template. And let's see, moment of truth. Perfect. It's actually like exactly the same, even though I attempted to fold it slightly shorter. So next thing we want to do is chop off the excess up the top. Mark the height of where the template is. Make it a nice straight and do the cut. I would advise using metal ruler and X-Acto knife to do this rather than your paper trimmer, because there's, especially if you're using thicker pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of paper. And I tried to do it on my paper trimmer, and what happens is the first 3 layers get cut, these layers don't get cut, and then trying to like make that perfect cut, it's just too much hard work, you know, when you can just do it the first time with the metal ruler. I mean with the X-Acto knife, not and the metal ruler. Okay, moving along. At this stage, actually, what probably would have been a good idea, the first paper that you did, grab your cover and make sure that the size is right. Oh, yes. I even have a tiny little bit of leeway there, which is what I want. I'm going to keep adding pages. I really have to make sure that they don't start sticking out. I mean, it's up to you, but I think this doesn't look as good as this. For my next page, I'm actually going to use an actual page from the book. So when we did the harvesting last week, I removed some pages and then I used them in all different ways. But some of the pages that I really liked, I kept to be rebound into a journal. Doesn't necessarily have to be the original book, but it's the perfect size. And I like this image, Captain James Cook, you know. I mean, I like the black and white, and I don't want to like discuss history of Australia and right or wrong. Let's just make handmade books. All right, here we go. That's gonna go in there, and you can see this. It is way too big because we're, you know, because of all that business. But let's see. I'm gonna test it out. Even though this book came out of this book, I mean the page came out of this book, it's kind of sticking out a little bit too much for my liking. So I'm simply going to trim that baby down just a little bit. And here we go. As I'm working on those pages, I'm doing the trimming and all of that, rather than putting all the pages in and then having to go back and trim and all that. Next page, I am going to repeat exactly the same as what I've done over here. But this time around, I might actually even swap the two. This time around, I might go in kind of all the way. All right, I'll speed all of this up and I'll see you shortly, my friends. Here's a random thought that popped into my head because I was thinking about how I have to be careful not to get this red nail polish on my page. I think I just came to a realization. Sometimes when I watch videos, it can be like decluttering videos or cleaning videos or whatever it is, and when people like handle things in weird ways, such as like they're talking about a piece of paper and they're gonna hold it weirdly and then they're gonna put it down like this, and I think, why not just put it down? Or like they're gonna show you the tool and then everything is done kind of like they're gonna go like this and then put it down. And I always feel like it's so unnatural to handle things like that and put them down like this. Like, when do you do that in your own house? You don't. You just put the thing down. And that's why they do it. Because people, when they're filming, they don't want to make noises. Of course, it makes perfect sense. And sometimes things look weird, like the hands thing and like handling the paper so weirdly. It's just simply the fact that this nail polish, which now I know, actually I've known always that red nail polish for some reason does that. But sometimes I just feel like wearing red nail polish, so it's kind of like one of those things, you know? I'm not gonna not wear red nail polish because I have to film and it might get on my paper, you know? But there's this one organizing lady that I love to watch, like a decluttering kind of a lady. And she has a way of placing things down that, depending on my mood, sometimes I love and sometimes it gets on my nerves, which, by the way, is a me problem, not a her problem. So if something that I do gets on your nerves, well, there you go. Okay, well, I just want to swap those two pages. I want to put this one here so that I can like play around with something like this. Maybe I'll play around with that later when I get to it. And I'm going to pop this new page. I mean, the old page is in the middle. It's going to be sticking out. So if it doesn't work, I might have to put them back where they belong. So I'm just going to double check. If it's sticking out, it's sticking out. Oh, I can get away with it just just. Next page I'm going to do is going to be just standard A4 size sheet that's been beautifully coffee dyed or tea dyed, and it's just going to be a short page. So I'm not sure if I finished that thought process that I started just before. The lady that I watched, the decluttering lady, so it really depends on my mood, but sometimes that very quiet handling of things makes me very motivated, and other times it annoys me. Isn't that interesting? Okay, I'm going to do just one more, that's it, done, first signature. I'm going to do one more hinging process, and it's going to be the extra large one from that visual diary extra large paper pad. And you know the drill, my ladies or gents. I think it's mostly ladies. If only more men would spend their time crafting away, folding paper and just making pretty things, I think the world would be a better place. But you know, what do I know? All right, hinging done. Find the middle. Using scoring board will give you crisper folds, especially if you're folding against the paper grain. So just quickly, when you fold your paper, you kind of test the resistance on one side, then you fold your paper the other way and test the resistance the other way. You will feel more resistance on one fold. So I can tell this way gives me more resistance. So this is against the paper grain. This way gives me less resistance. And I'm going to show you, if I fold this page, this is with the paper grain, it is going to give me a nice and crisp fold. And I didn't press down, I just did it very lightly. And you can see that it's a nice, beautiful fold. Whereas if I do it the other way, I don't know how well you can see that. See how it's not a nice fold? So that's why. And then over time you can get cracks. If you fold your signatures this way, you can get cracks and stuff. I personally don't worry about that sort of stuff like ever when making journals. But just in case if you didn't know that, another way that you can tell, I mean, sometimes it is important to people. And since I mentioned it, at least I thought I'll explain it. Another way you can tell is if you spray your paper with water, which personally I wouldn't do this to test for paper grain because I'm wasting this paper. This paper is going to start to curl. It's already starting to curl, and it curls with the paper grain. Such randomness. I'm sorry about that. This one was folded against the paper grain, and we shall survive. Now I need to get my template, and I'm definitely going to fold this shorter. I'm going to fold here about 1/4 of an inch shorter than my template, and let's fold burnish down so that I get rid of those little crackly bits. All right, the other side. So this will be the middle of my signature, and I'm thinking I want these pages to be folded in, so I'm just going to fold them in the other way. So when I go to the middle signature, it will all make sense once it's actually put in a journal, but I want the pages to open this way, and you see the binding here. So that means now I will either trim these flaps down, or I can, like, again, do all sorts of, like, I can do so many different things. What do I want to do is the question. I'm just going to fold them down. So we will have something like this, you know, on the inside. Look how long this page is. This is like 1 meter long. We have a page that's going to be middle of the signature, and it opens up. Let's measure. I love this sort of stuff. This, it's not actually 1 meter long. It's like 30.5 inches or 77.5 centimeters. Quite long. So you might think, well, that's going to be very hard to use in a journal, but fret's not, my friend. I have it all worked out in my head. We're going to make this work, and you shall see. Just trust the process. I'm not a big fan of working with pristine white pages because then I can notice all the little imperfections on it, which is why I like to tea dye and coffee dye, but I didn't have any ready, you see, so we're just gonna go with this. All right, this is gonna go in the middle. It's not going in the middle yet. Just gonna trim it down. My thought process is the following. Obviously, I haven't bound it yet, but I thought about it in advance, and I decided, instead of binding these types of pages the traditional way, 3-hole pamphlet stitch and whatnot, and having it kind of in there for good, and that's it. I am going to bind these pages in a way where they can be removed, either individually or the whole signature can be removed. And also potentially down the track when it's filled up, so it can be, depending on what it's going to be, it can be like a glue book, or it can be a art journal or a daily journal. Eventually down the road it can be bound in, but I want to use the binding that allows me to like take out the whole thing, removable pages basically, or take out just one page, or take out, I don't know, this page. All right, but I'm kind of jumping the horse. Is that a expression when you going way ahead? That's not an expression, is it? I'm jumping the horse over here, my friends. I am going to call this my signature number 1, done. Okay, I might do exactly the same for my second signature. I might do some things differently. So first I'm going to play around with this and make it kind of how I want it. So then that will determine what I'm going to do for my second signature. So for example, I want to do something like this. I want to do something interesting. So perhaps this page can wrap this one. And in order to get to here, you have to first unwrap, open, open. You see how we're creating interactivity, something different. We're creating these like one very large spread from these 2 pages that are extra large that open up. I'm loving. I'm very, very loving right now. This one opens this way and this way and this way. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then we have this, and then we have this. Then we have a little measly page in there, and then we have extra large page, extra. Dum, 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 dum. Okay, so we have, in case you want to know how many folder pages we've got, 1, 2. Oh, look at that! Look at those weird hands. 3, 7 folder pages, but it's not looking very appealing to me now. And I want to make it better, basically. So me and my sewing machine are still having an affair, and perhaps it will be a lifelong affair. So I'm simply going to take my pages to my sewing machine. It is purely for decorative purposes. Everything is held in place with the glue, okay? You do not need the sewing machine to stitch the pages together. That's already done. I'm going to do it because of the reasons I just mentioned. I think it looks beautiful. It gives it more of a handmade look, and I just love the effect of stitched pages. So my plan is, maybe I can do one. I'll do one on screen, because you might be thinking, how are you gonna, like, it's quite large and whatnot. But first I'm just gonna tell you, and this is going to be a very breezy process. Very quick, not for me, but for you definitely, because we're gonna speed through. All right, so first of all, these edges over here, I like to add a little stitch here on this side, and of course on this side. I'm gonna do it and you'll see exactly what I mean. And then I like to stitch all the way around the 4 sides, just like this. See what I did with editing there? Try to be a little bit fancy, but here it is, nicely stitched. Like I said, first I did these and then I went all the way around, and now I think this looks better. It is just my personal preference. Now I'm going to do one on screen. I'm going to speed it up and I'm going to do this large one. But before I take it to my sewing machine, first I want to create an element here, and on the back I want to create like a pocket. So this will be opening up this way, and I want a pocket to be going this way. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrapbook paper. Maybe I'll do this one because it's very pretty, and I'm just going to trim it down to size. So I'm only working on this flap, and I need my scrapbook piece of paper to be slightly smaller. So I'm going to do here, won't be able to see anything, and down here, trim and trim and check, perfect size, excellent. I've inked the edges, and now I'm going to glue this down. So I want the pocket to be from this way, which means I have to add glue on these 3 sides. And by the way, you can do so much here. You can do a belly band or so many different things. I'm just going with the pocket. And glue it down. And by the way, last week when I did the book harvesting video, I asked if you guys wanted to see continuation. I'm just going to turn it now to the other side, and now this one I want the pocket going from this way, so just repeating the same process. And last week everyone said, well, a lot of people said that yes, they want to see the continuation. And so I was thinking, how can I make it a little bit different than just making a signature and binding it into the book? I've done that kind of thing a lot of times before, and that's why I'm kind of making this slightly different journal with large extending pages. But you don't have to, obviously, I mean, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but you can just have one of these elements in your journal. Like, you don't have to make the whole journal be extra large pages. I think you probably already know that, but I thought I'll just, you know, mention. I just wanted to bring you, I suppose, something a little bit different. Okay, so the pocket is going to be from here. So glue on these 3 sides. But I love, love, love adding these kinds of elements into a regular journal where I have like one extra large page that opens up. That's very pretty. That's looking very nice. And now this is kind of what it looks like opened up. So now I'm going to do the sewing and show you how do I kind of maneuver this large thing through my sewing machine. I don't know how this is going to work with the filming camera in front of me while I'm sewing, but I'm going to do it anyway. First of all, we're going to do the middle, and then I'm going to go all the way around. All right, here I am. I'm going to fold the page into its natural position and double check that where I'm going to be sewing, which is here, is not going to sew this page into place. I've got plenty of space. So starting off over here, and off I go. So I'm just following this line, like I have my little notch here, and I'm just kind of, that's how I keep it straight. I follow something. That one's done. All right, now I'm going to turn it around so that I can see this line perfectly, and off I go. All right, I like to trim these right away. Look at how beautifully nice and neat this is looking so far. Isn't it just so satisfying? Okay, now for my previous page that I did, I sewn all the way around the 4 sides. This time around, I can't do that because if I do that, I'm going to be shutting the pockets down. So with this one, I'm only going to sew top and bottom, and I'm leaving the sides. Okay, so how to maneuver your very extremely large page through your sewing machine. It is actually closed on my lap down here. You can't see, I know, but it's closed. I'm going to start sewing. And as I'm sewing, it's slowly unfolding itself off of my lap, going through the machine, and now it's going to start hitting whatever is on my desk, so I start folding it back so that I have space. And again, it's going to start hitting. I'm going to keep folding it back. I'm going to finish off here, but if I wasn't, I'm going to show you. If I was going to go all the way around, I'll try and demonstrate without actually sewing. Turn off my machine. We're pretending now. So I turn it around, bring it through my sewing machine. Very easy. That's all I do. Now I'm actually going to sew. I can't sew here, remember, because we're creating a pocket. So that's why I didn't actually sew there. All right, now going back the other way. Everything is kind of folded in my lap. Starting to hit stuff on my desk. Fold it back. And again. I am going to stop here, but if I wasn't, I would simply turn it here and keep going. And then they would meet, and that's it. So sometimes you might find that for whatever reason, you kind of have to bring your whole signature through your sewing machine and there's not enough space. So if that's the case, occasionally it does happen, but I simply, let's pretend I want to sew here. I simply just kind of bend those pages as I go and kind of, you know, Oh, this is hard to explain, but I'll make it work. And here is what I have, extra large pages, and when they're in the signature they're going to be looking like this. And I have a pocket over here and of course a pocket over here. That's pretty cool. Okay, that goes back into the signature. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it all off camera, but I'm just going to tell you and then I'll show you when it's done. I'm leaving this one as is. I'm just going to do a stitch here and on the other side. This one I'm going to sew all the way around, as well as 2 stitches here. And this one, the same thing, I'm going to sew all the way around this. All right, this one's done. And as I went to cut off the string, I accidentally, don't even ask how, I cut into this paper. I hate that that's happened. So now I can like add a little stitch or something, or I can just make it look intentional maybe, I don't know. That kind of sucks, but well, maybe it's not. Maybe I can do it down here as well. Make it look like, oh, that was totally planned. Here we go. Totally planned. I am done with the sewing. I'll show you what I've done. On this one, I did the middle part and then I switched to straight stitch, just going across all the 4 sides. And then on my last page, I decided not to do any stitching here. And since I was in the straight stitch kind of a setting, I did a wiggly line around. So if you can't go so straight, you can always maneuver your paper and make it look wiggly intentionally. So, and I also like this look, and sometimes I like to go ahead and cut a little bit away from the wiggly line, and then I have a beautiful wiggly line paper. Anyway, all right, we're done. I'm gonna pop this into my signature. So now what I'll do is, this is the way everything is going to sit in my book. Before I go to the binding, I'm going to slightly embellish these pages. I'm not going to do much. I'm going to add this through these holes because the paper already has holes, and you can create your own, and you'll see in a moment how beautiful this looks. So off I go. This is such a simple little thing to do on pages, and it's so effective. Perfect. Now it's all kind of twisty in there and I don't like that, so I'm going to pull it through until it's nice and flat. Yes, I do like that on both sides. Oh, perfection. And gently, gently, gently pull it back. Just so pretty. Chim. I was going to say chop or trim, and then I said chim. Just a tiny little bit of glue to hold it in place, and other side, and then chim, or keep it long if you want. I'm gonna chim. I'm gonna go to the back and do the exact same thing here. I do like just a simple little thing, isn't it? And it adds such beauty. Okay, now I'm going to speed through this. I am simply going to, I'm going to do minimal things, and I'm going to speed through. So I just want to make it pretty for the binding process. Okay, I'm going to add stickers. Okay, we're getting somewhere. It's just a little detail. That's looking very pretty and very intentional. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest off camera and I'll be back and show you what I've done. It's all done. I'll show you quickly. You've seen this. Gorge. Then might as well pop something in this pocket straight away so you can see. And then the stickers and nothing over here. This is going to get obviously more fun as it's being used. Oh, what have I done here? Just 2 there. Maybe I can do, I didn't do 2 here because then, anyway, it doesn't matter. I just added some little details to make it look, I suppose, pretty. This one's left as it is. but this journal is going to be used and written in and glued in, so there's no need to like go overboard at this stage. Plus the pages are going to be removable if everything goes to plan how I envisioned this journal to be bound. Then the pages will be able to be taken out and worked on. Okay, and then I refolded this one. It was folded the other way. It doesn't really matter, I just folded it this way. You can do whatever. All right, signature number 1 is ready. I want 2 signatures in my book, so I created the exact same thing. So this times 2, only this one didn't have this happen, so it's just looking slightly different, but pretty much very exactly the same on the inside. Different book page, and also the middle is slightly different. So you can have 1 signature in your book with a lot more pages. You can see how this one's slightly different to this one. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, this is just a little, you know, a little demonstration. So you can have 1 signature in your book with more pages, or you can have 2. It really depends on your book. What am I saying? I mean, it depends on your spine. I have a fairly thin spine over here, less than 1 inch spine. So let's see how this is gonna look in my book, and then we can go on to the binding. Oh, it's just absolute perfection. Look, it's not alligator mouth. You can't see from this perspective, but it's not alligator mouth. It's nicely flat, and the pages are maybe sticking out a tiny little bit. Not much, but I'm satisfied. Indeed I am. Okay, I'm gonna bind this, and then we'll finish with a few extra little bits. Like, I want to do the writing board, I want to do a loaded pocket, I want to add some stuff. So next step is, of course, binding. At this point you can do 3-hole pamphlet stitch, 5-hole pamphlet stitch, whatever you want. But if you want removable pages, then I'm going to show you how to do that next. At this point I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work, but that's the fun part of making handmade books, figuring it all out as you go. So first of all, I'm going to use stretchy elastic for my binding. I have done kind of a wraparound binding system before using just twine like this, but I think with a stretchy elastic it's easier to kind of plop the signature in. Now, over time, stretchy elastic does lose its elasticity, even though this, and I found this in a resource rescue center, so I can't like tell you where to get it, but I've bound books using this many years ago, and it hasn't. It's still like holding perfectly well. So that's what I'm gonna go with, you know, and hope for the best. Okay, I need 2 strings on the inside for my 2 signatures. If I needed 3 strings, then you know how this goes. So the problem with only using 2 strings is there has to be a twist somewhere, and it can't be on the inside. All right, let me just figure this out. I'll be right back. Yes, I'll be right back. Oh, okay, it didn't need much figuring out. All right, let's start. I want my knot on the inside, of course. I have my string. I'm gonna wrap it around the spine once and twice. And now I need to tie a knot here. And I have elastic for my first signature, or second in this case, and first. So 2 on the inside. Now, I said before, I'm not gonna tighten this yet. I'm just gonna kind of tie it so it's not moving around. As I said before, there has to be a twist somewhere. Otherwise, you can do 2 strings. Just do 1, tie a knot, then do another one, tie a knot. But if you're going to do 1 long string like I am, there's going to be a twist here on the spine. The strings are going to like twist over one another. I'd rather it be here than on the inside, because if they're twisting on the inside, then they're not separate, so you can't put your signatures in. Okay, I hope that's making sense. I'm going to tighten this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. Make it tight, but not too tight. 1 knot and another knot. I'm going to try and do a square knot, so start again. I'm just looking at my hands. Right over left, and then left over right. And tighten. I have way too much string here, but mission accomplished, right? I have 2 strings for my signatures. This is like the easiest way. We can go about this many ways. And there's my little twist here. I'm gonna actually make that into something like fun here on the spine, so we'll do that later. But for now, I'm gonna plop my signatures in, and then I'll worry about trimming this down. So first, I'm going to bring this one through. So much easier when you're using elastic than if you're using twine, because you can't stretch twine. Gently, gently, plop it through. Okay, first signature done and dusted. Oh, it's already bound. How easy is this? And now for my second signature, to make it even easier, I'm gonna go open it to the middle, plop it through, going in the opposite direction of the first signature. It's just easier. Does that make sense? So I went this way rather than this way. All right. Signature number 2 is in, and the book is officially already bound. I mean, does it get any easier than this? It's definitely easier than poking holes and doing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and it's definitely faster, and I am loving it. And I can't believe I doubted myself there for a moment. I was thinking, is this gonna work? Huh. Is it gonna work? Let me tell you, it works. Let's have a look. Now I can, if I want, can even like add pages in there. I'll go to the second signature. Maybe I'm gonna add another page. Maybe I can do something like this. Isn't this sweet? Oh, what's happening on the other side? Perfect. Oh no, that's not the one. Where are you? Here it is. Okay. Well, that's demonstrated. You can add pages, you can take away pages, you can just do whatever you want. All right, now at this point I'm going to check, do I want this tighter? Like really tight? I actually do not. So I'm going to go in here, and what should I do? I could add some beads. Do I want to do that down here? Let me ponder, darling, let me ponder. Okay, pondering complete. This is what I'm gonna do. At this point, it's just use what you have kind of thing. I have these little things. I don't even know what they're called. I don't even know if this is gonna work. But basically, it's like for jewelry making or something. You put something like your chain or whatever in there, and then you squeeze it shut. I was hoping to put both of these strings in there and squeeze it shut, but I don't think they're going to fit. They are not gonna fit. Okay, plan B, quick. I did it. I just shoved them in there and closed the thing on both ends, and this isn't necessary. I just kind of wanted to keep this close together so that it's not falling off the spine. You can easily do that with a little bit of thread. I don't know, maybe some gold thread or something like that, just to hold them together. Essentially, I was attempting to have the twist. See how it's twisting? I wanted it to have under the bead down here so that the twist is over here, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The book is bound and it's looking good. Another thing I could have done is while I was applying this, I could have had some beads on here, but then perhaps they would kind of get in the way of writing. So anyway, it is what it is, and I'm actually quite happy with it. Now with this one, do I want to cut it short or do I want to tie a bow? No, I'm just gonna cut it short. There we go. So we only have one of these knots. The second signature in the middle doesn't have any knots. It's just like this. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Okay, now I want to do a few extra little things to complete this beauty. From our Harvesting the Book adventure last week, the part 1 of this video, I suppose, this is what I have. This was the original jacket for this book. Oh yes. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with this today, but I am going to keep it because perhaps we can do a project with book jackets. So it's gonna go there. All right, I have lots of book images that are ready to go. I have lots of pages ready for loaded pockets. Last week I actually created the pocket, I suppose. It's gonna become loaded now. I'm gonna do that in this video. I did one of the images, so I'm gonna plop that into the journal. And I also had pages, and I also had a few pages for a writing board. So one of the images was this one here, and I went ahead and backed the image because it had stuff on the other side. I backed it with some scrapbook paper that kind of goes with the whole theme, I suppose, of the journal, and then I laminated it. So basically this is a writing board, which means this journal is pretty, you know, nice and flat to write on. But let's say there was lots of bulk inside, and then when you have a writing board, you plop it underneath, and then you have a straight surface to write on. So this is going to live at the back of the journal. I'm going to pop that in there. Another thing that we can do is I'm going to put this image here. This also opens up for some beautiful writing. Perhaps I can add some little stickers there. I'm kind of running low on these stickers, so I'm only going to do one here and one here. Pretty, pretty, pretty. All right, that's done. That's done. Going to the front. Same thing over here. We have a pocket. I'm gonna do a little sticker over here and a little sticker over here. This was damaged already, so what can I do here? Pondering time. Oh, I did not have to ponder for long. Look at this. I had this in my stash. Is it perfect? It is. It's made for this journal. Okay, we shall glue that on. I should have just applied glue on the 3 sides and then made that into a tuck, but I didn't. It's okay. Hide the ugliness. Who does this journal belong to? Okay, now I need something for this pocket. I shall go into my harvested book images little sleeve over here, and I'll find something that I really like. We're sticking with the theme. Perhaps I want a large image. Let's see what I have. I remember cutting out some people. Not these people. This is my favorite image in this book. Oh, here they are. The people. Let's do something with the people. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is back my people onto some tea-dyed fun stuff over here. We shall really make sure this is glued down. So I'm going to go in with the glue stick first. I'm going to go in with glue as well. And the people shall be glued on. Glue the people. Free the people. I'm going to fussy cut around, leaving a little edge, because why not? And the theme of this video seems to be weird hands. Okay, lady is cut and the gentleman is cut. Oh, and we can, you know, we can write on the people. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna ink those edges. He's a gentleman on the outside, but a merman on the inside. Sorry about that. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Look at this. Ooh. Do I love it. The plan was for the people to live in the pocket. Do we like that idea? Or we can do whatever we want with the people. I think I like this kind of a thing. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the original plan just so we can move along and have the people sticking out. They're like, hello. Hello, little lady. Okay, what's next? Oh yes, the loaded pocket. Okay, this was done in the last video, like I said. So it's ready to go. All I have to do is fill it up with stuff. Now I can go and do the same thing with, you know, my book images over here and back them onto tea-dyed paper and then have that in here. But, you know, I'm just going to grab stuff from my stash and fill this thing up. I have this box, you can't really see very well, but this is all like ready-made things to go into journals. So I'm going to just play around. Perhaps I can do an envelope with a little piece of paper inside. I'm gonna put that over here. Maybe we can make it stand out a bit more. Should I do this big bookmark? No. Maybe I can kind of stick with the theme, you know, Foundation of Australian Letters, Home, or something like that. This in here is onion skin paper. Beautiful. We're gonna plop that in the large pocket at the back. Like so. Can't even see it. What else, darling? At this point, I should have put these in my pockets. I'm going to do that. At this point, really, it doesn't really matter what goes in there. We're just filling it up with ephemera, loading it up. Let's load this baby. Maybe something like this, and something like this, and maybe some like vintagey pages at the back. Maybe a little booklet. Make it stand out. Maybe a little tag. And finally, I'm thinking of just adding something onto the envelope, just to keep it kind of down, something that goes with the journal, you know, just making it look pretty. Maybe something white. And then we need a brad. And luckily, I have an abundance of DIY brads that you've probably seen. I did a video very recently. Oh, and what do we like? This looks so pretty, but it's very chunky. Oh, look at this one. All right, decision made. Let's do this. I'm going to glue it on. Glue. Here we go. Loaded pocket done in no time. I just wanted to ink the edge over here, and look at this. How pretty is this looking? Full of fun stuff to use inside the journal. And one final, where do I want this to live? At the back or at the front? We'll leave it at the front. One final thing I want to do is do a bit of a swapperoo, because these have some stamping on them, and I believe I like that a little bit better. I think I've got 4 in total in here. I'm just gonna swap 2. And the journal, oh, well, the journal is officially complete, and I am very happy with the outcome. Let's have a quick little flip through, I suppose. By the way, if you enjoy this kind of a thing with all different types of pages, I have a video that you're going to really love, and it's called 10 stunning and unique page types or elements for journals. I'm going to link it in the description box, and we do all sorts of fun stuff in that video. So if you like, you can have a look at that next. But for now, let's focus on this beauty. So this is the cover. We're not going to dwell. Let's not dwell. And I have this loaded pocket. The idea is for this to be used throughout the journal and to keep being filled and emptied and filled and emptied and that kind of thing. Love how this is looking. I love the people and the little flip outs and more flip outs. And look at this. It's just, isn't it stunning? I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And all these interesting little things that we have going on. We have some pages, we have some flip outs, and I didn't do any flip ups. Didn't even cross my mind. We could have done that too. Look at this. Alrighty. Weird hands. Don't want any red nail polish on my pristine pages. Look at this, and then look at this, and then pockets, and you know, we've done it all together. You've seen it all, unless you decided to cheat and to fast forward. Oh, rude. No, I'm just kidding. Just doing a little jockeys. Oh, isn't it? I don't know. I'm feeling giddy. You might be hearing it in my voice. A little bit of giddiness. Because, need I say it? I'm quite, I don't want to say proud, but I'm excited. I am absolutely excited about this journal, and also the fact that it's finished, because this does take a little bit of time. And like I said, you don't need to have a full journal like this. It's completely, all the pages kind of do their own thing. You can have a few different elements of these flippy out things. I think it's so beautiful when you have a journal that you can explore and try and work out, like, what's going on? What's going on? What do I do with this? That kind of a thing. What do you think? Oh, you gotta let me know. And we have the writing board here at the back. And then, of course, you know, another little thing. And another little thing. And with that, my friends, I hope I've provided some value to you in this video. Last week I posed the question, do you want to see this taken to completion? And there was an overwhelming amount of responses that yes, we want to see part 2. And a part of me was feeling a little bit deflated. I have to say, I thought the reason why I asked the question is perhaps people want to see it. I thought that maybe there's not going to be interest in this sort of thing, but I mean in seeing part 2. I don't usually do part 1, part 2 kind of a thing. So when I saw that response, I was feeling a little bit, like, what can I bring that's different than just getting all these different pages and embellishing them and inking the edges and sewing and binding it into a book. So this is what I came up with. I hope it's worth it. I hope it's worthy of your attention. So you have to let me know in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you learn something new? Did you have fun? Are you gonna make it? Just tell me how you feel about this. You might hear in my voice that I'm extremely excited about it. I am excited and relieved. Excited that it turned out beautiful. Relieved that it's done. And I can finally go and have my coffee. So if you enjoyed this video, you'll most likely enjoy this one. I don't know if you can see that, my hand pointing. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.